because we're getting ready to put the sanding coat on. This is what we want to put on before we fiberglass. This is the lacquer sanding sealer. This is by Def. You want to clean it up with a lacquer thinner. I've already coated one side of the wings, and what we're going to do is we're going to coat the other side. I got a little bit that came on the other side. Again, use the 80 grit sandpaper. Come into here, and that's it. Whatever came over from the other side is cleaned up. It takes no effort to take this stuff off. It sands great. I'm checking. It's about what I'll end up using for everything. Last night I put the covering, or at least I covered all of one side last night, and man, this garage smelled. Without this mask, when I took this mask off, I could not believe how bad it was. So make sure you get yourself a good mask. That's important. Okay, we're ready to go. So there's one coat, and it takes about 15-20 minutes, and we're going to go back and we're going to do the second coat. After that, we're going to go sand, start our fiberglass. This is going to be cool. See you later. Also absorbs all of that. This will help make the plane light. That way the resin, when you put that resin on the fiberglass, when you put that polyacrylic on the fiberglass, it will just sit on the top of this, adhere to your sanding coat. It's almost like putting a primer down before putting paint. Just will keep the weight way down on this. I like to use 80 grit. It's going to just be as simple. All we're doing is just scuffing up the surface. It's not going to be very much. I don't want to really sand it off. I'm just lightly just giving it a scuff. You got a compressor, it's the best. Get all that dust off. Now we're getting the fun part. Fiberglassing. I love fiberglassing. Been building surfboards for 30 years, but this is totally different. It's kind of like building an old longboard. The days when you used to have to cut balsa blanks, and you know, those days are long gone. But polyacrylic. It's a clear satin finish. This will do the trick. We're going to put 2 coats of this on. I'm going to put 1 coat on, wait 15-20 minutes, and then we're going to put another coat on. I'm going to do this all with a 2-inch brush. Most of this stuff just evaporates. Almost 80% of this weight will evaporate because it's water based. So here we go. Clean cut. The lightest fiberglass you can find, 3/4 ounce. So this is the lightest I can find. Don't worry about the strands. Don't worry if strands get off to the side. This stuff sands so easy, but we're not going to worry about any of that right now. And we're going to work from the middle out. So just putting a little bit down, not loading it on. I just want to tack it down first. I'm just going to start lightly, no rush. Putting too much on. I'm going to stretch it out as I brush. And just stretch out. You can even use your hand if you want. Alright, I'm getting the other side, just kind of brushing over the edge a little. I'm going to tell you, this is pretty easy. First time I've used this stuff right now. It's water based. I like that. That makes things so simple. Alright, that was it. Alright, so we got the 2 coats on the bottom on this one center section. I've moved it over to its side. I've laid out the fiberglass, trimmed it out a little bit. Got about a 1 inch overlap where that bottom part was. That allows me to do some sanding. On the other side here, I'm going to have about another 1.5 inch overlap, and sort of just trimmed everything. Again, we're going to work from the center out. This is the left side of the fuselage now. This is side number 2 that we're working on. And again, just a little bit from the center out. The reason I'm doing this, it just lets you control the fiberglass a little bit easier. And I'm not putting a whole lot on, just enough to let me push it slightly. And again, center out. And that's about it. There you go, 1/2 done. We've got the wings to do now. The plane sitting back here, I've got the second coat on because I'm just going to make one cut for both wings. Start at the bottom. Put a little batch in the center. Work my way out. Center out, center out. That's the trick. Center out. Because I will give this a good sanding before I do the other side, just to get some of these bumps out of these. That's it. Okay, we've got the first part of the wing done. I've trimmed the excess that I had in here already. You can see I'm not going to cut these holes that we have here. It'll make it a lot easier to do my coating and not worry about getting drips inside. I've wrapped the wing, as we remember, I wrapped it to right about, I'd say about 1 inch. It's wrapped. And I don't know if you could see that, but it is so smooth right here. It's not going to take hardly any sanding to get that surface level. And then I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to wrap it. So now all my leading edges on everything that I have is actually going to have a double layer of fiberglass. Keep it a little bit stronger in case it gets bumped. My trim, where I trimmed it, it is a little bit bumpy. I'm just going to basically take a medium sanding block. And like I said before, it is super easy because this stuff sands like paper. And then I'm just going to go around the edge just to scratch that fiberglass so I get a good bond on my next layer and a little bit underneath. Alright, we're going to be just putting the second side on. First side's already wrapped. We've got about a 1 inch wrap going on the leading edge here. I'm using a 2-inch brush and using the squeegee. The squeegee's working out great. Just really just push it. Just pick it right up, put it right in. A lot of extra resin that didn't need to be there. Real lightly, barely, old surfboard technique. Get it on the edge there, head and do a wrap. I'm going to wrap most of this around now. That's that leading edge wrap that we were talking about. We've got a nice layer of fiberglass. It's not wetted out too much. You don't want that fiberglass to float and have the resin underneath. You really want the fiberglass pushed down onto the wood. That's why the squeegee just kind of pushes it down, lets it really get a good bond to the wood as it sets up. Then we can put coat after coat after coat on top of the fiberglass. We're going to get and it won't pop off. That's what has a tendency of fiberglass doing if you get a float layer of a resin fiberglass with the wood. Okay, I've got all my fiberglassing done. I've got one coat to lay the fiberglass down, then I put a second coat of the polyacrylic. Switch it over, rough the edges, get all the frays, and then do your other coat. One layer fiberglass with one coat of polyacrylic, let it dry for 15 minutes, put another coat of polyacrylic on. So what we have is we've got a finished piece. Now I've got some frays, if you can see that, there's a little bit of hard edge. I want to smooth all of this out. I don't want to sand very much, just enough to be able to get all the bumps, any excess that I might have. Got a few drips in here. I just want to scuff up the surface and get rid of any hard edges that I have. As I put the coats on, I'm going to put a third coat on after I get this cleaned up. I'm going to put that coat on pretty thick. As I put that on pretty thick, I'm going to be able to sand this a little bit more aggressive and try to start leveling out some of it. Again, I don't have to go that hard. Then after the third coat, we put coat number 4 and coat number 5. No sanding between 4 and 5. 5 probably will be our last coat. That should fill in all the fiberglass, and you'll know. Now, I've got some 80 grit sitting on the block, and by the hand, I have 180. The 180 works pretty good for everything. This stuff's been curing overnight, and hand works all right. It takes a little bit longer. It's safe, but for me, I'll use the block. The block goes quickest. You have to be careful with the block.